Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog. Today I am working on the toe-up version of my polarity socks. The toe of these socks has this evenly spaced 4-petal flower shaping. However, for aesthetic reasons, I don't want the tips of the flower petals to be located at the sides of the sock and the center of the top and bottom of my foot. Instead, I'd like the spaces in between the petals to be at the sides and centers. That means I need to shift the end of the round and then evenly redivide the stitches on my needles before I knit the foot of my sock. For the size I'm knitting, that shift happens to be 7 stitches. And to make things easier for you to see, I clipped a purple marker around a stitch in my current column of end of the round stitches and a yellow marker around a stitch in my new end of round column. I'll demonstrate how to make that shift on all 4 styles of small circumference knitting needles: rigid double-pointed needles, flexible double-pointed needles, 2 long circular needles, and, of course, 1 long circular needle for the magic loop method. Technically, you can reposition all of your stitches to account for the new end of round first, and then finish the process by knitting from the old end of the round to the new end of the round. However, I usually find it's easiest to knit to the new end of round first and then rearrange my stitches. So that's what I'll be showing you today. Let's get started. Before we begin, if you enjoy our videos, consider joining the pack and becoming a member of thechilidog.com for ad-free access to our entire learning library, priority support, and more. When you're knitting around a small circumference on rigid DPNs, your stitches are usually divided evenly on 4 needles, and then you're knitting with a 5th needle in your right hand. So I've already knit to my original end of the round, but instead of using my 5th needle to start knitting around the rest of the stitches, instead I'm going to set it aside as I make the end of round shift. And I'll continue with the needle that had been in my right hand. So I'll knit the 7 stitches to the new end of round. And then before I actually continue the next round, I need to redistribute my stitches evenly. So I need to move 7 stitches from this needle to that, 7 stitches from this needle to that, and 7 stitches from this needle to that. So we'll start here. I'm moving 7 stitches rather, from here to here. And I'm just going to slip them without twisting them. So I'm slipping as if to purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slide those down. Then I need to slip 7 stitches from here to here. Again, I'm slipping purlwise without twisting. And then slip 7 stitches from this needle to that. So now My end of the round has been shifted to where the yellow marker is, and my stitches are evenly divided, so I can begin knitting in the round again like normal. When you're knitting around a small circumference on flexible DPNs, your stitches are usually divided evenly on 2 needles, and then you're knitting with the 3rd needle. So I've already knit to my original end of round, and to shift to the new end of round, I'm going to knit with my empty 3rd needle. So I'll knit across those 7 stitches to shift the end of the round. Instead of continuing on, I'm going to slip those 7 stitches that I just knit back over to the previous needle. So I'll slide them down to the other end and just slip them purlwise without twisting. So I'm at the new end of the round, but I have not divided the stitches evenly yet. I need to shift 7 stitches from this needle to that. And again, I'll use this empty 3rd needle to accomplish that. I'm going to slip 7 stitches from this end onto the empty needle. And again, I'm just slipping purlwise and not twisting the stitches at all. Slide those to the center of the cord, and then move those 7 stitches over to the other needle. And again, I'm just slipping as if to purl so that the stitches don't get twisted. So I've made the shift to the new end of round, and my stitches are divided evenly, and I can begin the foot of the sock by knitting in the round again. When you're knitting around a small circumference on 2 circular needles, your stitches are usually divided evenly on those 2 needles. The stitches on one half are always going to be held on and knit with 1 needle. The stitches on the other half are always going to be held on and knit with the other needle. I have already knit to my original end of round, and to make the shift, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. I'm going to slide my stitches that I want to work across down to the needle tip so that I'm ready to knit across to my new end of the round. Rather than using the other end of the same needle, instead, I'm going to use the adjacent needle tip. So I'll knit from my old end of the round across to my new end of the round. And you'll notice I have this little butterfly wing of cord here, and that's okay. We're going to take care of that in just a moment. After I have moved my end of round, I can pull the needle tip through. The stitches will slide down the cord and next to their neighbors. So the end of the round has been moved. Now we need to even things up because there's more stitches on this back needle than the front. So we need to move 7 stitches from this end over to the other side. I'm going to slide the stitches that need to be moved to the needle tip. I'll use the adjacent needle tip to slip those stitches purlwise without twisting. And again, you'll notice I have this little loop of a butterfly wing for the cord. Once I've slipped my stitches, I can pull the needle tip through, the stitches slide down the cord, and meet up with their neighbor. And now I have an equal number of stitches on both needles. So now that the end of the round has been shifted and my stitches are evenly divided, I can begin knitting in the round again. When you're knitting around a small circumference with one long circular needle using the magic loop method, at the end of the round, your stitches are divided evenly on the cord so that your needle tips are here on the right side. You have your stitches divided evenly on the cord, and then the center of the cord forms this butterfly wing, separating the stitches. I've already knit to my original end of the round. To make the shift, I'm going to just continue knitting, just as I normally would for magic loops. I'm going to slip the stitches down to the needle tip so I can knit to my new end of round, pull the cord a little bit here so that I can knit with the other end of the needle. And then I'm going to knit across to my new end of the round. So I'm at my new end of the round. I can pull the needle in my right hand all the way through. Those stitches are going to slip down the cord and meet up with their neighbors. Now the end of the round has been repositioned, but I need to even things out a little bit because right now there's more stitches on the cord here than are on my needle. Doing that's pretty easy. I need to move 7 stitches down the cord over to the needle. So I can just count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. Separate and let the cord pop through. And then pull the cord. The butterfly wing shifts here. The stitches are going to slide down onto the needle. And then I am ready to continue knitting in the round with the magic loop method. I hope you enjoyed learning how to shift the end of the round when you're knitting around a small circumference with either rigid DPNs, flexible DPNs, 2 circular needles, or 1 long circular needle. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your knitting friends. If you'd like to try this technique in a pattern, head over to the shop section of thechilidog.com and look for our polarity socks. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!